Has anybody seen my bag of Cheetos? I had a bucket of them over here. PT Pop here with all four lobes of my brain completely damaged from years of working in a call center. Today I'm going to talk about personality profiles and drug tests you have to take to get hired into a call center. Stay tuned. I'm in a bit of a mood, and when I get into my moods, I like to sit in a dark room and ponder my life. Thus the darkness here. Sitting here thinking about all the things you've got to do when you interview for a call center position with any company. And the first thing you do is you find a position online and you send your digital resume to them. Then they call you, and the first thing they do is they give you an over-the-phone interview. Then if they like you, they'll call you in for the in-person interview. In the in-person interview, you'll meet from anywhere from 1 to up to 5 people. Sometimes they're a panel interview with everybody sitting at a big oak table like they're really something important. Like, tell me, Pete, tell me about yourself. Don't worry about the other 4 of us. And then if you get through that, they'll say, well, we think we want to have you come on board. The first thing we want you to do is fill out a personality assessment. Now, the personality assessments are usually about 50 to 100 questions on a computer that you have to answer, like 1 being the least most likely, 5 being the most likely. So questions will be something like, how often do you feel it's okay to steal from the company? 1, not very likely. 5, it's okay. How often do you have violent acts towards coworkers? 1, not very often. 5, all the time. And the questions go on like this for like you sit there for 20 minutes answering these most ridiculous questions in the world. Is this somebody's going to ever answer these truthfully? I mean, some people must, because not everybody gets hired into these places. But these are supposed to assess your personality. If you're violent, some of the questions are geared towards if you're a type A personality, if you're really a go-getter, or if you're type B, like a beta person who's very like a follower, not a leader, and how organized you are and how well you handle stress. And because they're all timed. It's timed. You've got like 15 minutes to answer 100 questions, and they say, don't worry about it. If you don't go through all 100 questions, it's okay. And then the most exciting thing is if you pass these tests, which they're easy to pass, if you'd have to be as dumb as a cauliflower not to pass these tests. But if you pass the test and you pass the interview, then they send you to a facility to get your drug test. Now, these drug tests are ridiculous because a bunch of people I know that work in the call centers sit in their car at lunch and get high. They got a one hit, or they're popping pills, or they got vodka in their drink at work. And there was one guy I used to sit next to at a bank when I worked out west. I don't remember his name, but he was a heavy-set guy with tattoos and red hair, and he liked me. He didn't care about me one way or the other, but one day he brought in some coffee cake for everybody. He liked coffee cake, and he had a knife. I don't have a knife with me, but he had this big butcher knife he brought in for his coffee cake. Now, who brings a butcher knife in for cutting coffee cake? I don't know. And his eyes are always glassy and bloodshot. For all I know, he had allergies. I don't know, but I know he did. And he picked up his butcher knife, and he's like, man, I could do a lot of things with this knife, man. I sure could. Right then and there, I'm like, boy, I'm sure glad he doesn't dislike me. But he was always out in his car getting high. He was always sitting there with his one hit. I've got another friend that works for a major insurance company here in Cleveland. He's always in his car getting high. He's got a little one hit that looks like a filtered cigarette. And, these drug tests are just ridiculous because everybody in these call centers, a lot of them are just, they're 3 sheets of the wind by the time they get to their first break. They're gone, And it's just the strangest thing, the things you got to do to work in these call centers. These personality assessments are just ridiculous. If you're stupid enough to say you have violent thoughts occasionally towards your coworkers, or if you're stupid enough to say, yeah, it's okay to steal from the company, a scale of 1 to 5, I think about stealing from the company about 4 or 5 times a week. And here's what I really don't get about these personality assessments is who is grading these? They must kick out a report that some group of psychologists put together. But you mean the chubby little girl who hired me who works in human resources that can barely tie her own shoes is assessing my personality. I'd love it. I'd love to see what these tests say. Well, he's basically crazy. Who has the right to assess my personality? How does it really tell them? It obviously doesn't work. These assessments don't work because 80% of every training class walks right out the door. You should take a test, have them take a test like, how likely is this person to quit? On a scale of 1 to 5, how often have you walked out the door of a previous employer without resigning? 1, never. 2, sometimes. 3, about every other job. And 5, they should do that because most people quit these jobs. They're horrible jobs. They're god-awful. Can somebody tell me this too? How come everybody that works in human resources is morbidly obese? Where do they find these women? It's never men. It's always these like, has anybody seen my bag of Cheetos? I had a bucket of them over here. I work in HR. I'm so, like, they're so fat that they got one of these scooters, the 4-wheel scooters that they scooch around on because their knees are shot because they're the size of a rhinoceros. Have you seen my Cheetos? Have you seen them? And they all work in HR. And then they stand outside smoking cigarettes, I don't know, but they're the ones that are assessing my personality, see if I'm mentally balanced enough to work in the corporate world or something. Apparently I'm not. And the funny thing is they put all this time and this money and the effort into these surveys, personality assessments, drug tests, interviews, and then 2 weeks of horrible training just to put you on the floor and ignore you. They don't even talk to you on the floor. And then you walk out the door. So they spend thousands of dollars. Probably spend $30,000-$40,000 per person to get them trained just to have them walk out the door. So there you have it. I appreciate everybody's input on my videos. I guess I'm making some people laugh. So give me a thumbs up if you like this one. Tell me about your experiences with these wonderful personality profile tests. Ooh, there's a nice burp. That wasn't the best burps I had, though. I have pretty good ones, though. Tell me about your experience with the drug tests. I love those. And do you know anybody at work that gets high? I think a lot of people get high, and they, have a little something extra in their Kool-Aid, if you know what I mean. BT Pop, subscribe.